Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Dustin, and I am back with another video. And in this video, I want to react to the Avery Woods podcast with Jaclyn Hill. Now, I got tagged in this quite a few times because they're saying that Jaclyn Hill is telling another slew of lies and giving her audience a revisionist history. So, of course, you guys know I want to react to this because I have covered Jaclyn Hill extensively, and I know all the shenanigans that she's been up to for all the previous, 7 years. So if you are here for that, stay tuned to this video. Okay, so Nick and I talked about Avery a little bit over on his channel in one of his videos that he posted yesterday. If you guys are not watching Nick's channel, I highly suggest that you do because we are uploading 2 videos a day over there. It's been a lot of work, but it's been really fun talking about all the different things that we cover. But we talked about Avery Woods a little bit and the controversy behind her. If you guys don't know, she's done a podcast with James Charles in the past, and a lot of people feel like she let him off very easily. And some people are basically saying that this whole podcast where she's interviewing these influencers, specifically beauty influencers, is to gas herself up. Now, I don't even know enough about this girl to give you guys an opinion about her either way, but we're going to see what she's all about in this podcast. I've heard that there are a lot of inaccuracies in here, so let's get into it.
We did our collabs. You did Morphe, which that was another crazy thing.
That was, Morphe changed my life.
Talk to me about that. Because I want to hear like the behind the scenes. Because you're friends with...
This is crazy. I don't think I've ever actually told this story before.
Is it Linda?
Yeah.
And she owned Morphe at the time.
She was one of the founders, her and her brother.
She now sold it and she's your good friend in real life.
Literally my sister.
Which I love that.
My sister, yes. I don't really show her a lot on social media because of the fact that she was the founder of Morphe. People think that anytime I show her, they're like, she's working on a Morphe palette.
Yeah.
She's doing something else with Morphe. And I'm like, no, that's just my bitch.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my sister.
But would that not be a fair criticism to make in regards to Jaclyn Hill? Like, she has shoved Morphe down people's throats for literally almost a decade now.
Morphe brush, Morphe brushes. Like, oh yes, I'm Morphe, the owner of Morphe, and Morphe favorites by Morphe. It's a little overwhelming. With Morphe, because Morphe, the new one by Morphe, is a Morphe brush, Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, Morphe. Oh my god, it's Morphe. By Morphe again. Morphe. Brush by Morphe. 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 It's amazing. Morphe. I love it so much.
People are tired of it. So I really don't understand why you would get upset if people did assume that about you, Jaclyn. That's confusing to me.
Like, you're my arm. She's part of me, but we're not doing anything business together at all. So I don't show her because it's just like the narrative.
For sure.
You know? So plus it's really nice to have some friendships that just the world doesn't know about. It's not up for critique. It's just yours.
Yeah.
You know?
And just like taking a break from posting and social media and business. Like you just want to gab with your girlfriend.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Okay. So tell me about how it started.
Yes. So, okay. I'm going to make such a long story really short.
That's totally fine.
Okay. Great. So here we go. Morphe x Jaclyn Hill.
Yeah, no.
The beginning.
The people that don't know, like, this was fucking iconic.
When you hear how it started, you're gonna die.
Okay,
it was iconic, but it's like so funny from the back end. Okay, so I was in California one time, and I had heard about Morphe. At the time, they had 40,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, so I was like, ooh, who's this brand popping off 40,000 followers?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I want to go to their store. So at the time, I was working on my future line, Jaclyn Cosmetics. Keep in mind, I worked on that line for like 6 years. Okay, this was in the beginning stages. So we were coming back from Orange County one day after visiting a lab, and I wanted to stop at the Morphe store in Burbank. Teeny tiny little store, okay?
My mom was born and raised in Burbank, by the way.
So nice too. Sorry, got off track.
No, it's fine. So a teeny little store in Burbank.
Okay, so we're on our way back from Orange County, and it was my last day in California. I'm sorry, second to last day in California. Doesn't matter. On our way back from Orange County, I'm like, we gotta stop at the Morphe store no matter what. Traffic was horrible, as you can imagine. And I was like, we're gonna get there literally as the store is closing. Like, we're gonna get there at 7 o'clock. Like, what do we do? We called, we're like, please, I'm gonna be there like at 7 on the dot. I'm just dying to buy a few brushes. I'll be so fast. They're like, don't worry, we'll keep the door open for you.
Nice.
Okay. Got there, went in. So Linda, the owner at the time, she never stayed late, but she had dinner with her girlfriends that night in Burbank.
Okay.
And she didn't live in Burbank. So she stayed late so she can meet her girlfriends for dinner at 7:30. So she was in the back and she's like, how weird is it? I never stayed past like 3 o'clock, but that day she did.
Meant to be.
I walked in, the girls who worked there knew who I was. They went and got Linda. They're like, Jaclyn Hill's here. She's like, who is that? They bring her out, we meet. I ended up inviting her to another event that we had the next day. I was like, you should just come. She was so cool. She's instantly vibed with me, my mom, my sister. We're like, let's go. She ended up coming the next day to this event and we just vibed. That's all.
Okay. So I'm sure that you probably seen me visibly get tense while I was sitting here listening to this, because I have heard someone else's part of this story, or somebody that says or alleges that they were part of this encounter where Jaclyn Hill met Linda Morphe. And what Jaclyn Hill is saying and what I've heard 1,000 times just is not lining up. And I tend to believe Jaclyn now. I'm just going to say that because I was told a lot of things about how Jaclyn paired up with Morphe and how she was introduced to Morphe through another person. And to me now, it definitely seems like that person, well, no, now I know for other reasons. But in this situation, it sounds like that person is a terrible liar. And I'm kind of like actually shocked by this. I'm not shocked, but I'm shocked at the same time, because if you guys only knew, because I have heard this story about how Jaclyn got connected and fucked over somebody about 100 million times in my life. And this is not what I heard.
All it was just like human interactions, good vibes. Long story short, a girl that was in my life went to Linda and was like, Jaclyn is dying to work with Morphe. That was a lie. Okay?
Why did that happen?
Because she thought that it would be so iconic for us to work together that she was trying to like have my back.
Okay, got it.
Jaclyn would love to work with you. Jaclyn's dying to work with you. Great. So she did the same thing to me. She came to me and she was like, Linda and Morphe is dying to work with you. Dying. Neither of which were true.
Okay.
But this all happened because, by the way, this girl is incredible. I still love her to this day so much. But she started working for Morphe and she was in the interview process. And she's like, I just know that I could get Jaclyn Hill. And then she came to me and she's like, Linda's dying to create a palette with you. That's how we created our very first palette ever, which was the Jaclyn Hill Favorites palette, which was just randomized shadows from Morphe that we threw together. We did that whole palette literally because this girl told us, I was doing her a favor, I thought, and she was doing me a favor. Like, we both thought we were doing this for the other person, not knowing any of this until after the palette launched.
Okay.
That palette we launched on New Year's Eve, sold 50,000, gone in 2 minutes.
Whoa.
And she was like, who are you? And I was like, I don't know, who am I? Like, that was crazy. What just happened? And she was like, we need to work together again. She flew down to Tampa. She's like, I will do anything. My brother wants me to come here and offer you, what do you want? Like, I'll do anything for you to create a palette with me.
Whoa.
And I was like, okay, I don't know if it's really on brand. I also have like my Becca stuff going on right now that we're working on. I'm going to think about it. I thought about it and I was like, I'm going to do it. I really like her as a person. We created that entire palette literally over just laying in bed and drinking wine.
Now, it would be really interesting to go back in time to figure out what palette this is that she's talking about, because if you follow Jaclyn Hill for any amount of time, you would know that she says that she takes years to work on products. She literally just said earlier in this very podcast that it took her 6 years to get her brand together. And we all know that she had investors, while she still denies part of that by saying that she is the founder, owner, and CEO, which she never was. But this definitely sounds a lot like what we saw in Manny and Laura's podcast, where they tell you one thing when they're promoting a product and putting it together that it's taking them all this time. She's sitting here saying that her and Linda made this palette together over wine in one weekend. And the reality of the situation is now, in hindsight, if we look back, I could probably guarantee you that Jaclyn Hill said she put her heart and soul into this for probably 2 years. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I could be wrong, because this is something that Jaclyn Hill has claimed time and time and time again when she's shilling Morphe products.
That whole palette.
That's so iconic. Because it's just like natural.
That's all we did.
It is still one of the best palettes ever.
Thank
And
you.
the price point, that's the other thing too. You get so much bang for your.
I also want to point out that the title of this video is Jaclyn Hill, the YouTuber that raised Avery. So you already know that she's not going to ask her any really hard-hitting questions because she's fangirling, because she has Jaclyn Hill sitting here on her couch, which I guess is cool for her. But if you follow Jaclyn Hill and you know all this stuff about her, you also have to know the controversy. That's what I really have a hard time understanding with all of these people when they get into like interviewing Jaclyn Hill or anyone else. Like, you can be a fangirl and still ask important questions that other people would like to know. And I don't know if we're going to get that in this, but we'll see.
Buck.
It was iconic. We worked for over 2 years on that palette.
Wow.
Yeah.
And those sales were crazy.
Absolutely insane. 245,000 palettes in 40 minutes on launch day. Gone. Poof. Restocked with 240,000 pallets, gone 15 minutes.
That's fucking wild.
Literally each time we launched with $250,000, restocked $250,000, sold 1 million, all gone within one day, 24 hours, gone. Could not keep it on the shelves. Insane. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I wish she was here because she'd be losing her mind. Like, it's just so crazy to think about it. Because at this point, it doesn't even feel like it was me. It feels like it was like someone else. Like, I've grown since then. It's almost like looking at your little self.
Yeah.
I'm like, how'd you do that?
Whoa.
Insane.
And then at the time, you were simultaneously
It certainly wasn't, by being honest.
working on your own cosmetic brand?
Yes.
Okay, which was Jaclyn Cosmetics.
Jaclyn Cosmetics,
Which I remember because when I was in nursing school, David made me quit my job my first semester. I worked at Starbucks, and then we started clinicals, and I couldn't work anymore. So he worked like 80-hour work weeks so I could be a full-time nursing student.
Wow.
And
What a man.
he got so mad at me because I ordered 2 of your lipsticks. He said, "Bitch,
Were they fuzzy?
No, mine were not fuzzy. Mine were not fuzzy.
Iconic.
The only thing that was issue with mine was that I left it in the community mailbox at our apartment, and it's so hot that they were kind of melty, but I still used them. I immediately put them in the freezer, actually.
I still use them to this day.
Yeah, I put them in the freezer. They were incredible.
Oh, thank you, God.
Like the consistency.
I'm just going to have to put in that clip where Jaclyn's like, it's not contaminated right here. Just for you guys.
Second of all, my lipsticks are not moldy. They are not hazardous. They are not contaminated. They are not unsafe for you in any way, shape, or form. Every single ingredient in my lipstick is new and it is FDA approved.
To me, I feel like Jaclyn Hill is in a perpetual state of denial when it comes to these lipsticks. She does not want to believe that people were finding other things than fuzzies, when the reality of the situation is there was a lot more than fuzzies in there. Let's talk about the balls for a minute, Jaclyn. Like, I don't know how you skate past that every single time. It's always the fuzzy talk and never the talk about the balls. What about the balls, Jaclyn?
The creaminess, the perfect nude shades. I remember that whole fucking thing, and I wanted the big one so bad, but I had no money. So I couldn't buy like I couldn't buy like the big pack.
I love how Jaclyn's like, oh, you didn't have any money. You didn't have any money.
But I bought 2 of them, and I put them in the freezer, and I used them. And you know what's so interesting is I was shocked when all of that came out.
Yeah, that
because
was a dark
because
time.
I had them, and so
yours
I
were
was like,
fine.
I just don't get it.
2%. It was 2% that were defective.
Okay.
So to think about how loud the internet is actually insane.
yeah.
And
Well,
that
also it's
was
your-
a learning lesson.
Okay. So Jaclyn Hill said that the palette that she had before, they sold out 250,000 pallets. So she did it one time, then she did it twice. So that's 500,000 pallets. That's 500,000, right? What is 2% of 500,000? Because I know that Jaclyn Hill probably made that amount for this lipstick launch that she teased for like, what, 6, 7 years, 8 years? I don't know how long at this point. So 2% of that is not a little bit. And this is what really throws me about Morphe and all of that, because Jaclyn Hill cost them so much money. Because if you remember what happened with those lipsticks, she ended up refunding everybody, which I think is a great call as a CEO, but honestly is bad for business. If she wouldn't have tried to rush this and get this product out there that she's worked on for all of these years, and she would have took a little bit more time. I mean, look how long she took to get to that point. She could have saved herself and Morphe a whole lot of money, and maybe, just maybe, they would not have ended up filing for bankruptcy. But how she just sit here and nonchalantly says, oh, it was just 2%. Like 2% of what number, Jaclyn? It's easy to say 2% is a low number when you're looking at like maybe 1,000 pallets, or you're looking at maybe 5,000 pallets, but you were producing way more than that. So we need to know the overall number of pallets that you sold before you can get on here and say, I only had an issue with 2% of my pallets, because that 2% can be a lot bigger than what you think.
You're producing so many units, it's impossible to nail down the 2%. And I also know how long you worked on the line, that I think people aren't thinking in their head, like, if you knew, of course you wouldn't fucking release it. It's like
literally,
social
who does that?
suicide,
Like, who does
brand suicide.
Like literally my living nightmare. Like to people, you know, to other people online and people who weren't online just observing, it's like, you know, she's a money hungry crook, you know.
That's what I should title this video. I'm going to title this video that Jaclyn Hill is a money hungry cook. I didn't come up with that. She came up with that. I'm going to go with it.
No, but it's like, who even money hungry would do this?
No.
Who would do this? Like, because at the end of the day, I ended up giving a full refund, right? I didn't make 1 penny off of that, which was a really hard hit.
One point I missed when I was filming this, I didn't think about insurance, because I was reminded when I was sitting here editing this about like Jeffree Star and how everybody said that he had insurance. I'm pretty sure that Morphe had insurance, so.
Because millions of dollars were made on that day.
Yeah.
Millions.
So if you made millions, Jaclyn, what is the 2%? You can say 2% all day and downplay the seriousness of this and just how you failed. But if you're going to say 2%, 2% of what? I'm sorry, I keep harping on that, but that is just it. That's what annoys me so badly. And that's a lot like politics. And I'm not going to get into politics on this channel, but if you don't blatantly come out and say something and you just skirt around it, you're hiding something. And to me, Jaclyn Hill knows exactly what she's doing in this moment. And it feels a lot like politics.
And I gave every single dollar back. And
So I kind of want to ask you, so you launch it. What was the first thing that brought you aware of what was happening?
Okay,
Also, can you explain what I'm talking about? Because I feel like some people might not know.
Yes, absolutely.
This is a long time ago.
Absolutely. 2018, I launched my cosmetic line and I worked on it for about 5 years. I spent my own money on that entire line, okay? Saved every penny I made.
That entire lie.
From the beginning. Then I ended up getting investors before I launched, right? Because I realized with my Morphe sales, I'm incapable of this. Like, how am I supposed to do this on my own? But the plan was always to do it on my own.
So let's talk about it for a little bit. Those investors were Morphe, girl. And then you went on to literally tell everybody that you were the owner, founder, and CEO of this brand. And you didn't say that you had investors up until you got clocked and called out for it. When Jen Loves put you on blast after the bankruptcy. At no point in time on this list, on this legal document where it's talking about all the people that were in charge at Jaclyn Cosmetics, Jaclyn Hill is literally nowhere to be found. And this dates all the way back to 2017 in February. Like, now we all know that you're a liar, Jaclyn. And that's what bothers me so bad. And I don't dislike Jaclyn. Jaclyn does incredible makeup. I like Jaclyn's interior design. But what I don't like about Jaclyn and what I find really distasteful is the fact that she can just lie to people the way that she does. And maybe not even so much as lie as just not fully telling the truth. That's what really gets under my skin about her.
Okay, so I had good intent behind it, ended up getting investors, partners, and launched it together with them, okay? Everything went great. The product was great. We had quality control. We labbed at one of the best labs in America. I'm not gonna say the name, but everyone in the industry knows what lab I labbed at. Everybody's shocked. Like, how? They lab everyone. They're incredible, okay? Launched.
Girl, we know, and Marlena still has said this on multiple occasions, that you were advised that the lab that you picked for that was no good. It was no good. If you guys go back and look, there's videos of Jaclyn Hill from the time of the production of this stuff walking around in there with a hairnet on, and there's allegedly like dogs and stuff. She was warned about this. I just don't get how she can sit here and say that this was one of the best labs that she could have used, or like one of 4 in the entire country, when the reality is there have been so many people that have talked about this very lab and have had issues.
And they were defective, but not all of them were defective. After doing all the research and all the noise calmed down, it was 2% of my lipsticks that had white fuzzies on them. People claim there was mold in them, you know, et cetera, all of that. But
so what is the white
studies,
fuzzies?
Here's the tea, is how am I supposed to know? I'm not a chemist.
Yeah.
I'm not in there. You know, I went to the lab 3 times while developing, but like, I'm not the one who's doing that. No, but none of us are.
Yeah, we know what we like in makeup. We don't know how to fucking make it.
I'm not a chemist.
No.
Like, I have
No, but hello, you were the face of this brand. You should care a little bit about it. You know what I mean? This is so bizarre to me, because in the same sentence, she's saying, I don't care, but she's saying, I do care because I went. But you really don't know nothing about it. If I'm doing something, and I think 99.9% of people, if they're going to do something and they're going to put their face on something like makeup that they've perfected their craft in or whatever, you want to make sure that you're giving a good product, especially when you're mass producing it the way that Jaclyn Hill is. Obviously, they're making hundreds of thousands. You should care. You should care. And this explanation for me is her just pushing the buck to somebody else. I didn't know. I'm not a chemist. How am I supposed to know? You should have known, girl. And there probably is a reason why you never went on further to address this the way that you said you were going to. But whatever, I digress.
Idea.
Totally.
What we were told is that it was white fuzzies from towels and gloves from cleaning the vats,
like
and
lint
such.
and stuff.
Yes, like
Got it.
lint.
Okay.
Here's the tea: is there were several other brands in 2018 that launched lipsticks with the exact same issues, but none of them were being aired because everyone was so focused on mine. I'm not going to say the name of the brands, but 2 brands were huge brand.
Jaclyn Hill never fails to disappoint. When I said that she's trying to pass the buck, this is literally her saying, well, these brands had it too, but I didn't talk about them. Why didn't they get talked about? No, girl, that is not an attack on you. How can you sit here and say that you worked on this brand for so long and you cared about it so much? You put your blood, sweat, and tears in it. You, your mom, and everybody else, right? How can you sit here and say, or even bring up 2 other brands? This to me is Jaclyn being like, look, I had this issue, but all these other people did too, and you didn't drag them. It was all me. When the reality is, I don't remember any other brands coming out and having hairy lipsticks around the same time that Jaclyn Hill had hers. I don't. And if they did, I'm sure that they would have got called out for that, because if one person goes down for something, most of the time, if other people are doing those same things that somebody gets dragged down for, they get aired out and exposed too. I just don't think this happened. I could be wrong.
I'm not going to say the name of the brands, but 2 brands were huge brands.
Okay.
And I personally got them in PR covered in fuzzies. And I was like, oh my God, no one's going to talk about these though.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yep.
I was the chosen target that year. That's fine. But it was 2% of lipsticks. And my partners were just like, let's steamroll through this. Let's keep launching. Let's move. And I was like, no, we are doing a full refund. We are refunding the crap out of them. Can we also not only refund them, can we pay them? Because I was like so devastated.
I
Imagine.
remember. How did
Yeah, girl, just put them all the way out of business. Give them all their money. Pay them to take that makeup off their hands, girl. Yeah, put them out of business. You made a really good CEO, Jaclyn. I understand why your businesses are closed now. I really do.
did you find out about it? Like, what was the first call
That's right.
you got?
It was a tweet. And I clapped back. I was so defensive because like, I'm like, my lipsticks are perfect. Like they passed quality control. They went through the ring of fire, like good to go, right? We did the whole process the way it's supposed to go in the industry by the book. So somebody posted a picture of a lipstick that just did not look good. Like air bubbles, it just did not look good. And I responded back kind of shitty, immature.
You accused her of having crusty lips, girl. You said, girl, you have crusty lips without saying you have crusty lips. You insinuated that her lips were not moisturized, or maybe she used other products. Is that really how a CEO should handle their business and conduct themselves on social media? I don't think so. You're Jaclyn Hill. You're supposed to have some kind of like decorum. You're not Jeffree Star.
Not like a CEO should respond, not like an owner or founder should respond.
Of which you are neither. You were never the owner and you were never the CEO. You could have been the founder. You were the founder because they paid you to use your face to push those products. But owner, you were never, ever. Your name is nowhere on any identifiable documents that says Jaclyn Hill owns Jaclyn Cosmetics. And if you could produce those, that would be amazing, but you can't because you were owned by Forma.
Petty, and I was just like, of course someone is trying to like rain on my parade that I've worked so hard for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember where we were sitting actually when that happened. And I was just like, oh, why do people have to make everything so dark? And then the next day I started getting more tweets with more photos. And I was like,
uh-oh.
And then
I love how she assumes that there could have never been anything wrong with her product. That's just how arrogant Jaclyn Hill is. And she said as much earlier in this when she said that she was being cocky, right? So like, as a business owner, you cannot be cocky. You have to be open to the fact that things can happen. But this was totally preventable because Jaclyn Hill herself, again, said that she spent how many years making this thing? It should have been perfect, but it wasn't. Because if you work on something and you have the money behind you that Jaclyn Hill has, it should be perfect. 100% of the time, no questions.
I got a little quiet. I was like, what's going on? And then they started to come in more and more and more.
Oh, shit. As people were like getting their orders and stuff.
Yeah. And then there was a lot of people who lied about it. A lot of people that behind the scenes I actually caught red-handed lying, which I would never name names, but there were some people out there who made videos that straight up lied. I actually got apologies for some of those lies later.
Now, we talked about this in Nick's video. If you haven't seen it, basically, I'm going to give you the TLDR. Back in the day, when Shane and Jeffree were doing the series, Jeffree really went in on Jaclyn Hill about the lipsticks, and he said that she addressed it wrong, and he accused her of basically having mold and fuzzies in all of his shit. And Shane Dawson was sitting there, and he was like, yeah, look, there's like hair in this one. He even said that it looked like it had been ran across a dog.
What are you doing over there? Until you really know what's going on over there, you better... Remember when I refused to talk or review about Jaclyn's lipsticks on my channel until she figures out what's happening, but then Shane forces me to at his house? Does that one have mold in it?
Yeah. The little black dots.
Wait, the little black dots in there?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I haven't seen
Show me
any.
right now, I'm dying.
And just like Jaclyn's lipsticks, here in the house.
That's so crazy. So what actually happened? Because like, it's like my PR box, they're all hairy. Like to a point where it looks like I rubbed it on my dog.
So is it possible that they lied? Yes. But what's weird about that is Jaclyn Hill and Jeffree Star are allegedly still friends because he was sure shilling the shit out of that Jaclyn Roxanne earring right before they closed down. I don't know if it was him trying to do her a solid and help her sell out what she couldn't move, but there was definitely shade thrown there, and I think that this actually may be about Jeffree, or it could be about Patrick Star. And I bring this up every chance I get because it is one of the funniest Instagram stories I think I've ever seen. When he got his PR package, he was talking about all the fuzzies, and his friend was in the back talking about how there was mold.
So I'm just here editing, but Zach is here, my friend Zachary. So he separated the ones that have hairs and the ones that have holes. This one, oh my god.
What are those holes? What does that mean?
It's fungus.
Y'all need to shut the fuck up. Y'all, this one, oh my, and this is the PR package. No, no, what is this?
Fungus.
Sh it in the daylight, y'all.
So literally everybody was clowning Jaclyn Hill. It wasn't just drama channels. It wasn't just like news channels. It was her own peers. They were calling her out for this. Patrick Star and Jeffree Star were just a drop in the bucket. She even had like Kristen Leanne calling her out. You could not go on YouTube at the time of this launch of these lipsticks without seeing somebody reviewing it and finding either hair or balls in it.
Because those videos were getting so many views. It was like the thing to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, and people will always try to get clout by bringing other people down. We talked about that with Manny yesterday. It's hard. People want to gain a platform by bullying others, and that's just something I will never get on board with.
I know. And you don't, that's the thing is like, it's not sustainable. You're never gonna build a
And brands don't want to work with you.
No.
Yep.
You're not gonna build a sustainable career where people love and
Have you thought that maybe ass kissing isn't good? And have you thought that maybe everybody isn't in it for like brand deals and things like that? Like, that's nice. I would love to get a brand deal. It would be really great if I would, but I'm not going to sacrifice who I am and my authenticity to get a brand deal. I'm not going to come on here and be fake and lie to anyone to make $1. I make my money through AdSense, and if I can't make it through that, then it is what it is. But we have people and social media influencers in general, you can tell when they sell out. When you see sponsored posts, every single post. When you see affiliate links, every single post. Like, I get it, get your bag, that's fine. If you want to influence, be an influencer. But where they all go wrong is they all start being dishonest. They don't disclose that they're sponsored. They don't disclose that they're using magically links or affiliate links like Jaclyn. Amazon links. You can promote and push things and be honest. And truthfully, I've said this as long as I've been a drama channel. If you don't do things that people could talk about, we can't talk about you. We can't move unless you move. So if you don't do anything shitty, we have nothing to talk about, like you stealing Cozy. Did you think nobody was going to talk about that? Did you think nobody was going to talk about the mold in your vault palettes? Did you think that people were really not going to talk about the Morphe formula not being vegan anymore after you switched it, or they switched it unbeknownst to you, and then went on to promote that product saying it was vegan when it wasn't, and then you had to issue an apology?
and trust you by hating other people.
100%.
It's not, you can, a quick buck, yes.
Yep.
But like all those people who were talking crap about me back then, like where are they now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a hateful way. I'm just like, you don't have an audience that like loves you and rides or dies for you. And I hope no.
Do you guys love me? Do you ride or die for me? Because I feel like I have some hitters here. I really do. There have been people that have followed me since the beginning of this channel. And I know that you guys fuck with me even when we may not see eye to eye on everything. I think Jaclyn Hill has a really bad take on this. And I don't know if this is just me taking this personal, but it gets under my skin when people say, oh, you're tearing people down, you're doing this, you're doing that. No. I'm literally talking about the things that you do, girl. If you don't like people talking about you, just don't do shady shit. It's really just that simple.
No one is trying to pick this apart, because there were some people who talked about my lipsticks who genuinely, I'm like, yeah, you got defective lipsticks and you talked about it for a good reason. Like, I get it. But there's other people who were just genuinely jumping on the hate bandwagon to hate. And that broke my heart, because to them it's a lipstick, but to me, that was my whole life. Like, my life was over.
Yeah. And you worked for years on that.
And I thought I had perfected it. I was so cocky, and that just, I mean, it's like so sad actually if you look at just pictures and videos of me, like in my launch video for the product, for the lipsticks, and then you look at me 6 months later, I look like a different person. I was so defeated. Like I was so inflamed. I gained so much weight. My eyes weren't as clear and bright, like everything. I was just like, I was slowly dying. Like I was just not taking care of myself in every single way you can think of.
So when something like that happens, is the lab not like liable for that?
No.
Wow.
No.
So you
and I don't know what I'm allowed to say about that because
Yeah, for sure.
Because even though it was so horrible, I would never want to like get anybody into trouble.
Of course, yeah.
You know, but like so I don't know what I'm technically allowed to say, but no, we just kept moving on and never worked with them again. But
And you just
everyone else does.
gave everyone a refund.
Everybody a refund. Every single person. I think it was like
There's still people that say that they didn't get their refund, but I don't know.
$3-point-something million that we refunded.
Whoa.
Yeah, there was a lot of people not happy with me, but I was like, this is it.
So if you refunded everybody and you sold $3.5 million worth of products, right? How much was the average lipstick? I'm not doing the math, but out of $3.5 million worth of sales, what's the 2%? Somebody let me know.
I'm sorry, I'm not having one more conversation about this. This is my integrity. This is who I am, and they're getting every penny back. Because in my mind, I just believed like this is the least that I can do, and it's going to show my integrity, and it's going to show that I don't put money over anything else. It's going to show that I'm not a crooked businesswoman. It's going to prove to these people that I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, it did not prove anything.
Whoa.
Yeah, people were still like, oh, she's lying about the refund. She didn't actually refund people. It's like, you know, a whole thing.
You're like, you want to check my accounts?
Right? So like, although I thought
They're not her accounts, girl. That's what blows my mind here, Avery. It was never her money. But you don't care enough to know that because you probably think that she invested all this money. You were probably one of the people that thought that she actually wouldn't sell out.
I just keep thinking and I keep saying to everybody, like, I just don't know how to repay you guys for everything that you've done for me. And honestly, the only thing that I can really come up with is that I promise you right here and now that I will never sell out. I promise you that I will never lie to you. I promise you that I will never put money above my relationship with my subscribers. I promise you that I will stay true to myself and I will stay true to you. I promise you that I will only talk about things that I genuinely love. I promise you.
thought that was going to be like my saving grace. It just ended up making me even more depressed because I was like, okay, I gave them a full refund and it's still not enough. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know what to do. It was horrible.
Yeah, so what did you do?
I drank myself into oblivion. I ate whatever I wanted every night. What was my dinner, Jordan?
Corn dogs and root beer floats.
Corn dogs and root beer floats. That was my dinner every night.
It's giving A&W root beer.
It really is. Yep. Mac and
Yummy.
cheese and
My
hot
kids
dogs.
love that.
Oh, well, I really did it. I'm not joking. I would eat like 4, 5, 6 corn dogs in one sitting, 2 or 3 root beer floats, and then I would sink back a few martinis and just go to sleep. Like, I just sunk into food and alcohol.
Wow.
And everyone around me was like, get up. Like literally when I say in bed, I'm talking like in bed, my assistant would bring me vodka orange juice, 8:30 a.m. wake up call. Wake up, vodka orange juice. We need to get up, we need to get out of bed, we need to talk. How are we gonna recover this? And I would just laying there drinking at 8 a.m. as the sun is rising. Like, I can't recover this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm done. The world hates me. Like, I look back at it and I'm like, oh God, the way I want to do things differently so bad. I want to grab that girl so bad. But it's like, I also was going through so much in my life. It was like so crazy. I just went through a divorce and then that was public. And then people had so many speculations about that. I was also falling in love, found this incredible man, launching my dream business. And it was like all shot to shit. Like, whole time I didn't have therapy for any of this. And it's just like, it was too much, so I just ran to alcohol and food.
When was your next launch after the lipsticks?
My next launch
Was it the highlighters?
Yes.
Now, I will say that Jaclyn Hill did pop the fuck off with those highlighters. If you know Jaclyn Hill, you know she's known for that. And I'm going to give her roses.
Fucking slayed.
Thank you. I really did love those. They were quite the banger.
No, you are the queen of highlight. So I immediately bought those, obviously. But I remember when those came out and I said packaging on fleek.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, so good.
Yeah, we launched the lipsticks in the summer and we launched those highlights for holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was traumatized. I
feel like that was like such a big redemption for you though, because people loved them.
Thank you.
Loved
People did.
them.
People did love them. I had to
Not a
film that
fuzzy
video
insight,
3
bitch.
times. Not a fuzzy insight. Not
I do feel like that was a big redemption for Jaclyn Hill because there was a lot of people that were buying that. They were beautiful. I remember specifically when I met Petty Page and she was wearing that, she looked stunning. And to this day, it's still one of her favorites.
A fuzzy in sight. Oh my gosh. You know what's crazy though is here's a little inside story. At my launch party for those highlights, I had my launch party in LA.
Okay.
Another influencer called me and was like, I just opened up my PR package and there's a fuzzy in the highlight. This person shall not be named just because I need to be careful.
Like trying to fuck with you?
No, they were serious. There was actually a fuzzy. So they sent me a video of it and there's like a little fuzzy coming out of like the corner of the pan. And I was like in the middle of my launch party. Lost my mind. And here I was about to gift like 80 PR packages to all these influential people here in LA.
Oh my God.
At the launch party.
Okay, that would be a little bit upsetting or unnerving for me, because I feel like if I was Jaclyn Hill in that moment, I would have been nervous and we would have been tearing every single one of those PR packages apart to see if there was anything in them.
I'm getting a video of a fuzzy and one of my highlights to someone that had received it early that was my friend, that still, we're good. But still, I just want to be careful in case they want to be talked about. But yeah, at my party. So I had to rally up my troops.
Oh my fucking God.
We had like 85 PR packages there. And at the launch party, I was like extending dinner, extending the conversation. Just drinking, shots behind the bar. Trying to prolong passing out these PR packages while I had like 8 of my girlfriends and employees in the house that I was renting at the time, rummaging through every single highlight, every single PR kit. Imagine.
So was it just one fluke?
I'm covered in goosebumps. They did not find one. Not one fuzzy. It was just that one person.
Whoa.
I know.
Oh my God. You're probably like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Literally. So when those highlights launched, imagine the anxiety.
Oh, I can't.
I was shit-faced when those highlighters launched. And I think they launched at like 8 a.m. Pacific time. And I was already shit-faced because I was so scared. I was like, there's going to be fuzzies and everything. I know.
Whoa.
You know what's so funny though is from my point of view, I've received product with fuzzies, with air bubbles. I don't give a damn.
No, I don't either.
I literally open it and I'm like,
yeah, 100%. I'm like, I'll put that shit on my tongue. I don't give a
Hell no. If I'm getting something that has some hair in it, or it has something that looks like it's not supposed to be there, I'm returning it and I'm getting my money back and I'm gonna be pissed about it. Okay. And I'm not talking about like the little off thing. Like there's sometimes when you can open something that's plastic and it'll look like it's a hair and it's just like a little shard of plastic. I'm talking about like hair. I'm returning that shit and I'm writing a review and I'm gonna tell the internet. But I ain't using shit that has fuzzies all over it. Hell no.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But it was just different.
And I think we know you don't care, Jaclyn, because you let your lipsticks look like that. You're trying to normalize fuzzies on lipsticks and that's not normal.
The standard was high, and I think I also, taking accountability in that, I set that standard for myself. I was such a perfectionist in everything I did, and I prided myself on everything about me, and this and this and this, and it's like, and my dogs, and we're just so perfect, and look at me and my happy marriage. Everything is just, sunshine and rainbows. Like, you know, as I made like the Jaclyn Hill name almost look too perfect, so people then expected that from me.
Yeah.
So it's like when I did have normal fuck ups that people have in the industry and in life, it
is not normal, and this is not fuck ups, girl. When you steal the entire name of a product, Face Master from Gabby Rose, when you steal an entire brand name like Cozy from Kaylin, those are not just normal fuck ups, girl. And then you even went as far as to throw shade about copyrights and things like that when all that was going on with Cozy. That is not a fuck up, Jaclyn. That is intentional. That is intentional. And me or anyone else getting on the internet and talking about that is not bullying you. That's actually holding you to account for the things that you do. It's just the way that she talks about things like this that really gets under my skin. And it does let me know that Jaclyn Hill is probably really self-absorbed and she thinks that she can do no wrong.
It's like national news.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like but again.
Well, you also were like the fucking it girl. Like people don't understand. I was trying to talk to Scott about this on the drive over because obviously he's a lot younger than me and he's not watching like the beauty community. So I was like, you have to understand when she launched this lipstick, it was she was fucking peak YouTube. I mean, the Morphe palettes come out and obviously people trust your opinion, know you're doing it right. So it's like, if people are gonna jump on a fucking bandwagon, it's gonna be yours.
It was awful.
And I can't imagine how isolating and lonely that was.
It was so horrible because like to switch for a second over to you, this is what I love and admire so much about where social media has gone and what you do. Because I feel like TikTok is so real. And you guys are.
What does she do? Because she isn't asking you questions that people really want to know, girl. Like, for instance, how many lipsticks had issues? Put a number with the 2%. Say the number, girl. Name them. Name them. She's not asking you questions about how you did all that shit with Cozy. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but these are the things that I would ask Jaclyn Hill if she would ever give me an interview. I would be respectful. I would be kind. I would be courteous. I don't hate Jaclyn Hill. I hate how Jaclyn Hill conducts herself. So her saying, I love the way you do this, is literally her just saying, you don't hold me accountable. I love this podcast because you don't ask the hard-hitting questions. And that is why I would never watch this podcast. And I'm not dogging her out. She might be somebody else's cup of tea. She's just not mine. But in my opinion, this does kind of feel like Jaclyn Hill is boosting this person up because she won't hold her accountable. And I don't like that. I really just don't like that.
Are just like, no filter. This is my life. Look at me at 7 a.m. with my kids and messy hair, and look at me at this angle that's totally unflattering. And you guys are just honest about, like, I'm a mom and I screw up just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? When I started, it was a total facade. It was smoke and mirrors, and that's how we all were. It was like we had to paint a picture perfect life, picture perfect makeup. I mean, girl, I'm not kidding when I say my YouTube videos back in the day, when I say I did my makeup for 4 to 6 hours on camera, that's how long I would be rolling for.
Oh my God. And the lights.
So that my makeup was perfect.
Oh,
there
and it
were no
was.
filters. There were no smoothers.
No.
It's just.
Well, also your face looks like it's face tuned right now in person,
okay,
by
but
the way.
so does yours.
No.
And the fact that you don't even wear foundation.
Fuck you.
I
No,
hate you.
I swear to God, you guys, her face is flawless. That's what we should do. You need to like give me a smoky eye or something.
I should give you a full B, actually.
Yeah, I'm like, put foundation on me. She needs it.
She walks in and she's like, I don't even own foundation. And I'm like,
Oh.
must be nice.
Okay.
She's like, I just have sunscreen on. I'm like, okay.
Here's my thing though.
Perfect.
I feel like I'm just in the routine of like,
Okay, so I'm gonna like check out here. I do feel like this was a much better podcast than Manny and Laura's with Jaclyn, because at least Jaclyn Hill did get to speak. And I do think that Avery did bring up some points that were worth mentioning, but she didn't really ask the questions that I would really like to know the answers to. But overall, I think that this was way more entertaining than Manny, Laura, and Jaclyn together. I just don't like how Jaclyn Hill skirts around things. But I want to know what you guys think about this. Does this change your opinion of Jaclyn in any way? For me, honestly, the whole story about how she met Linda Morphe, that kind of really did throw me off, because again, I've heard that story probably 2 million times in my life, because there was somebody that I was friends with that loved to tell that story. And to me, just in my opinion, it seems like this person may have added herself into the whole thing with Linda Morphe and Jaclyn and all that, because there's some things that are just not adding up in my opinion now. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and leave me the fern emoji down below, because I love this little plant that she has back there. I don't know if it's a fern or what. She has a beautiful kitchen. But with that said, I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.